right? So the first part, this first section that Habib Abu Bakr al-Adani, Allahumma salli wa sallim barik alayhi wa ala alihi, that he's going through, right, is Isra wal Mi'raj haqiqatan. It is a real thing that happened to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. يقينية حقيقة يقينية بالروح والجسد. Right? Rasulullah went for Isra and Miraj with his ruh and his physical body. Right? It is real, and it is with certainty, and it is with and it is true. It happens. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'll just read the salawat because that's okay, because since I didn't read the salawat. يا ربي عطر مرقدا تنورا بصاحب الإسراء مبعوث الورى وصل يا ربي عليه سرمدا والآل والأصحاب ما البرق السرى اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله صلى الله عليه. Right. So the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم قال كان إسراء نبي المصطفى جسما وروحا ثابتا مقررا صلى الله على محمد وليس طيفا أو مناما مثل ما ظن الذي ينفي ويأبى وأشهر صلى الله على محمد. And so this entire section he begins, and it's mentioned that yesterday that Habib Abu Bakr Adani, that he said that in every zaman the people of the zaman, right, will write about Isra and Miraj, and they will address certain issues, right, that is that plague the people of the zaman, right, or that people of the zaman, or the fitna that happens in the zaman, right, that mess with people basically. Right. So the first thing that he mentioned, right, is that the Isra and Miraj was physical, right? It was physical, it happened, it really happened to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Is something that is confirmed, has been repeated, with so many proofs, right, from in our religion. Right. And today, inshallah, I'll just go through a few of the aqidah issues with regards to Isra and Miraj, because that is the section that we have in front of us today. And then inshallah we'll go on to the next section as well. Right. So or just accusations there, or the claims, right? The claims that people have made, against the Isra and Miraj in our time, actually, because our time is a time of um of people who believe in the material only, even amongst Muslims, right? And that is a calamity. It is a calamity, right? In our zaman, of people who only believe in the material, right? And they can't see beyond the material, right? And even to the extent whereby, and I will say this, to the extent whereby people who try and explain the miracles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam using scientific theory, right? In a sense, like why do we have to do that? Because I've seen writings whereby they try to explain the Isra and the Mi'raj using the theory of relativity by Einstein. And then I read all this stuff, like, here and there, this theory, that theory. So the Buraq, he's called the Buraq because he's like the Burq, like lightning. So lightning is light, so the Buraq, he travels faster than the speed of light. Right, because how the Buraq moves. The Buraq moves by, his hoofs can be placed, wherever his eye could see, right, which means that he is faster than the speed of light, because sight is by light, right? Sight is by light, therefore, and they explain all of this stuff. So when you go faster than the speed of light, you actually enter into a dimension that is timeless. Right? So when you enter the dimension that is timeless, so therefore the entire Israel marriage happens through this way. He entered through whatever. Lah. So I read all this stuff. Lah. It's okay if you really want to do all this stuff. You really want to explain miracles through scientific theory, but there is a nux in there. There's a deficiency in there, that to see the need to do that, and to see the need to try and explain stuff using science, right? There is it shows a very strong belief in science, that things can only happen by the laws of science, and it can't happen beyond the laws of science. That is Allah confined by the laws of science that He created and He placed in the creation. Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No, of course not. So for me, like I, and I understand all these scientific, explanations and claims and whatsoever. And I know some people, they like it, they like doing it, they like, they like to explain all this stuff using science. But science is not, we don't need science. Honestly, we don't need science, right, for our religion. No, no. It was a miracle. It was a miracle. right? Whether or not it has anything to do with Einstein's theory, or relativity or whatsoever, right? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And in fact, for me personally, I think it spoils the entire thing. It does. I just feel it spoils the whole thing. In trying to, make it scientific, it's logical scientific. Why does it have to be logical scientifically? Why? Right? Since when has our belief, been based on what agrees with science? Since when? Right? We have, we believe in angels, we believe in the jinn, we believe in the next world, we believe in afterlife, we believe, subhanAllah, we have a lot of beliefs, mashallah. Of course, we believe in God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. All of these things science cannot reach, right? I know there are people who try to explain angels being electromagnetic waves. You see how it spoils things for people? It just spoils things. I try to explain everything science. But that's the sickness of our zaman. They were so, so material, right? It was so material, right? One thing materialistic, right? That we find happiness in stuff, in things, in buying things, in spending. And something that I think yesterday you mentioned that it is a lost trait in our zaman zuhud, right? But just staying away from things, but this is the way we are. Like that we just find happiness and then we show it off, we take a picture, we do unboxing, we buy all kinds of stuff, there's a lot of wastage of money here and that, this and that, so but wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Right. And then the other meaning of being material, so materialistic, and being is materialism, materialism, being materialistic, right, is that we just need to have some material explanation for everything. We need to have it. We just need to. We just need to, you know. Subhanallah, subhanallah. And a lot of these things are all theories. They're not even fact, they're not even, you can't confirm them. They're not facts. Right? And then we base our religion on this stuff. Take it as a miracle. Right? We need to learn to take things as miracles. This is a miracle that happened to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's one of the greatest miracles that happened to him. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right, so this is so Habib says that, so there's no weight to what they claim. They say that, oh, it was a dream, or it was just, an imagination, it was just, all this stuff. And the irony is that the one person who actually proves to us that it was not a dream, and nor was it, and nor was it from the imagination of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The person who actually proves that to us is Abu Jahal himself, right? Because Rasulullah came back to Mecca after his entire, Isra wal Mi'raj, and in the morning, the first person to see him after his great night journey, right, subhanallah, the first person right, to face him, by the Kaaba was Abu Jahal. And he came there, being his ugly self, and he says, is there anything new today, oh Muhammad? And then Rasulullah SAW just said, well, last night I went to Masjid Al-Aqsa. He didn't even finish the entire story. He just said Masjid Al-Aqsa. He didn't say about the other part, about going up to paradise, right? Just said Aqsa. And Abu Jahl began laughing and laughing and laughing, and mocking Rasulullah SAW. And we'll find it on in the end of this poem. Habib Abu Bakr actually points to it. And the fact that Abu Jahl burst out in laughter and began to mock, right? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of this shows that he understood that it happened physically, right? And he even said, "Oh Muhammad, if I bring like four other guys, will you say to them what you just said to me?" Right? And that was how much he was mocking Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah, Sadiqul Amin, right? The most truthful, the most trustworthy. He didn't even blink. He just said, "Yeah, I'll say the same thing." He was not even affected, didn't try and defend himself, didn't it, subhanallah. This is the trait of a righteous, truthful person. That if you're saying the truth, even if people mock you, and people, run you down, and they go around, making fun of what you're saying, and trying to cast doubt, in you, like if you're saying the truth, you're just solid, it's just steady, you're just gonna say the thing over and over again because it's the truth, right? You're not making it up, right? So Rasulullah, he didn't even blink, he was like, yeah, call them, I'll say it. Right? I'll say it, call them. And so Abu Jahl called people, he called the people of Mecca, come in here, what Muhammad is saying, how the crazy things he's saying now, he's saying and whatsoever. Then, like, in a sense, got people together around Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So a lot of people actually witnessed the narration of Isra and Miraj. Like, this is the Isra. The Mi'raj later on, Rasulullah told the Muslims, right? But the morning itself, he informed the people about the Isra, the night journey to Aqsa. So Abu Jahl actually, he kind of, it was at his hands that the proofs came. The proofs came. So if it was a dream or imagination, why would he be making fun? Right? Does that make sense, right? Why would he be making fun? It was just a dream or imagination. Doesn't make sense at all, right? So of course he brought people around Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he said, okay, Muhammad, say it. See how annoying he is, incredibly annoying individual. Ya Allah. So Rasulullah repeated, last night I went to Masjid Al-Aqsa and I came back. And again Abu Jahl began, he burst out laughing again. He was like, you went there, you came back in one night. Actually, it was a few seconds, right? But he in one night, and it's a journey we take months to cover. Oh, you have gone off. You're crazy. You have lost your mind. You've gone beyond. And what happened also was that there were people who were affected by the words of Abu Jahl. All these things I'm saying here right now, are lessons because these things repeat in our zaman. Okay, this thing is repeating in our zaman right now. Right? It's repeating in our zaman right now of people disbelieving in Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam because of what um foolish people, ignoramus or ignorant people online are saying about our beloved Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And if we do not teach our children from the very beginning about the reality of miracles, right? And teach them about the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not beyond Allah. In fact, it is from the nature of a human being. It's from the nature of a human being. In fact, it is from the nature of a human being to believe that God can do anything. It's from the nature of human being. Because Habib says in the third line here, فَمِثْلُ هَذَا الظَّنِّ مَبْنِيٌّ عَلَى تَرْجِيحِ فَهَمِ الْعَقْلِ من حيث درى صلى الله على محمد فالواقع المعلول كان سببا في منح طه مثل هذا فسر صلى الله على محمد. Right, so this kind of thing, this kind of thoughts, right? Trying to explain it using science, trying to, say, it was a dream, it can't possibly be real, it can't possibly be physical. All this is coming from where? It's coming from the akal, right? The mind. People placing their mind, right, as their gods. Right? That if my mind can't encompass something, therefore it's not true. If my mind can't figure out what's the reason for this, therefore it's not true. Logically speaking, kada and kada and kada. Like they say, logically speaking, this can't be that and this can't be this. Or this law doesn't make sense to me. This law, this thing that you all say, in Islam. No, no, I don't think. Like, since when our religion is on I don't think, right? Or what my mind says, what my brain says. Your brain is so limited. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Right? So he says that the problem here, the problem with this thing, why do they have to say was jisman, right? It was jisman, meaning it was physical, waruhan or spirit. So it was not physical. They said it was not physical, right? Why? Right? Because the fact of the matter is that they want to use their brains, they want to use their minds, and their minds are they are limited. Right? And in fact, if they truly had strong minds and they truly had a good, like a good training of their brains, right? Because the brain only works well if it's fed with correct information, right? If the brain is fed with misinformation, right, or no information, there's types of ignorance. One ignorance is ignorance that is jahil basit. Jahil basit is basically fed out. You don't know anything. Okay, no knowledge, no knowledge has been fed into the brain. Right, that's called jahil al basit. Then there is jahil murakkab. And Jahal Murakab is worse, right? Jahal Murakab is compounded ignorance, right? Which is basically you've been fed wrong information, right, from sources, and therefore you judge things or judge matters on this wrong information, right? So misinformation, and that's why the brain can't be used, right? If some in just outright like this. But yes, we do have the Islam is the religion of thinking, of using our brains, our minds, but only after the brain has been fed with correct information, right? Nourished with correct information. Like otherwise, the brain will bring the human being down the wrong way, right? So so the Quraysh so when the Quraysh made fun is sakhirat ni made fun, and this is sukhriya is to make fun, is sakhirat Quraysh min da'watihi, da'watihi meaning his claim, the claim of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or his call. He told them what had happened the night before, and this also proves to us that the truthful nature of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he is unable to say otherwise. It's not within his ability to say otherwise other than the truth, right? And also that he always conveys whatever that has happened to him, wherever he's been informed, he will convey it. Tabligh, tabligh is a trait of prophets, right? That is wajib, right, for prophets. So we see that actually what happened, when Abu Jahl went around making fun of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that there were some of the newer Muslims, who were still weak in their faith, that they couldn't wrap their minds around Isra and Mi'raj, and they actually murtad. They left Islam. And there were of those who left Islam. There were of those who said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Don't talk about this. I don't talk about this." There were those who even said that to him. Don't tell people about this. Sound crazy, right? Subhanallah. Right? All of this just shows the weakness of their faith, right? But of course, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he does not go by what people say, right, or what they do, right? But he goes by what he is commanded, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is the proof of a true prophet, right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? So, and so says that this is one of the biggest proofs that he's indeed, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a true prophet, right? Because at really, as we mentioned yesterday, he was really at the most, like the lowest points of his mission, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and people were turning away from him, right? And the number of people coming into Islam had become stagnant, right? Nobody else is coming into Islam, right? His call was falling on deaf ears, right? And it was really in a very difficult part of his mission, calling people to Islam. Then now he came with this story that Abu Jahl is going around saying he's crazy, he's lost his mind, he's really, he's gone beyond all boundaries, of sanity, whatever, like really, if someone was faking it, if someone was faking their prophethood, this would seem like they're just, making things worse. And so already people are not believing in him. Like already people are turning away from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah reward our beloved really on our behalf by what he struggled just so that Islam can reach us. He went through so much. How many of us can take this? Like, can you take it? Like that the whole everybody, society turns away from you, right? And then you're made to say something that, and you saw it. You went, he went through it. Said to say something that people just don't want to believe, and they're calling you that you have lost your mind, right? And to say it out loud, what happened last night, on the Isra and Mi'raj. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli wa sallim bari alayhi wa ala alihi. Today's Friday, so Friday, increase your salawats unto him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today's chapter, mashallah, think about Sirah, ya Allah. You just go, you bask in this beauty, of the life of the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And as you go deeper into Sirah, like you get closer to him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because you like you reflect on what he has done, for us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and you get close because you know all about his life. Right, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So learning Sirah is very, very, very important for us. Right? Learn Sirah over and over and over again. Someone yesterday I had two questions, right, that came to me. When someone asked the first question, but this is coming later on in the story of Isra and Miraj, right? But if you have been listening to my Sirah online, it's recorded. I do address it, right? So the first question somebody asked was that, if Allah's Rasulullah went, on Isra and Miraj, and he went past the furthest note tree. right? We know, right? He went past the Sidratul Muntaha. He went past the Buddha's goat tree, right? And he went to, speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this person's question was, isn't that like spatial dimension? Isn't that like, he went to a direction in a spatial area to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore Allah is confined in that spatial, in that spatial area? Answer is of course not. Of course not. Nobody ever said that he went to like a spatial area, right, whereby Allah was within that area. No, of course not. Again, it is our minds that only understand the physical realm that's trying to, superimpose our understanding on a realm that is beyond us. It's a realm that is beyond us, beyond us. We cannot take our understanding of the physical, of the material, then go into the world of the spiritual. Doesn't make sense, right? How can you take, what is limited and go into something that is unlimited, right? So like for example, our experience of Earth, just how the life on Earth is, and the gravity of Earth, and the science and the physics all around the planet Earth. Can we apply the same, set of rules that we experience on Earth, especially on the gravity of Earth, and apply it outside of Earth, like go to other parts of the galaxy and try and apply the same thing? No, it's a different situation altogether. You can't do that. I also another simple thing. Can you apply, what you do in air to what you do in water? No, you can't. Right? Water is water, air is air. So you can't apply, what you do in air, what you understand about, the conditions of air, since everybody likes science so much, right? So you can go to the way of science, right? You can't apply the same thing in water, right? The buoyancy, the resistance, the water pressure, whatsoever, right? You can't do the same thing in air and in water. Same concept. All right, it's one good way of science, right? Same concept. You can't apply what you understand of this dunya to what is in the akhirah. You can't apply it, right? Because we live in a time and spatial, existence, right? Time-based and spatial existence. Akhirah is beyond that, right? So don't think that Islam he went to a particular place where he saw Allah, in a spatial dimension. La, no, 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 not in that way, any way or form, no. What happened to him, we don't understand. We don't know. And it's beyond our comprehension. Understand that, right? Another question somebody asked was that Rasulullah SAW prayed in Masjid Al-Aqsa, right, with the prophets. I wonder if anybody here can answer that question. Anyone who has been a student of Sirah for a long time, you should not answer to this, right? Someone asked the question, Rasulullah went to pray at Masjid Al-Aqsa with the prophets, right? Yes, he did, right? So the question was, how can he do that when the prayer only came down after? During Isra and Mi'raj, the prayer came down. Let me see, who can answer this question? Who is like been like a good student of Sirah? Who knows the answer to this question? Any good student of Sirah who knows the answer? Anyone? Anyone? I'm putting another answer. Another answer. The question is that Rasulullah SAW, prayed at Masjid Al-Aqsa, right? He was the Imam and the prophets prayed behind him, right? Okay, how come he could pray when prayer only came down after, when he went on the Mi'raj? That's the question. Anyone who's been a good citizen of Sira, come on. It's in the answer of Sira. Close. Your not sure your answer is close. Naam, Noor. Give me a good answer. Give me a good answer. I'm still not hitting the mark. Like, answer the question. You know that how you have exam papers, then students don't answer the question. You're not answering the question. Naam. So the prayer was instituted right? And means the prayer was commanded onto the Prophet ﷺ from the beginning of his mission. We know that. From the very beginning of his mission, ﷺ, from the first wahyu, he was taught Fatiha and he was taught wudu and he was taught how to pray. Rasulullah SAW, Jibril taught him on the very first wahyu, from the first day, from the first day of revelation. He was taught this, and it was made compulsory on him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to pray most of the night. In fact, almost all the night or most of the night, you find it in Surah Muzammil, Surah Mudathir. It was compulsory on the early Muslims to pray morning and evening. The prayer had been instituted from the beginning of Islam, not at Isra and Mi'raj. Isra and Mi'raj, what was instituted was the five prayers. Be clear. Not the prayer in of itself, but the prayers now being five. Get me? Right? But the prayer in of itself from day one of revelation. From day one of revelation, it was given to the Prophet ﷺ and made compulsory on him, for him specifically as the Prophet ﷺ, the entire night or part of the night or most of the night, as you can see in Surah Muzammil, Surah Mudathir. These are the first few surahs that were sent down to Rasulullah, right? With the Sahaba, the first Muslims, it was morning and evening that was compulsory on them. They had wajib prayers, yes, morning and evening, twice a day, right? The Isra and Mi'raj just made it five. It was not a revelation of the prayer in and of itself, no, right? But it was a giving. It was basically the prayers being made five, right, a day. Okay, right. So what has he been praying for the past 10 years before the Isra and the Mi'raj, more than 10 years? Yes, every single night, wajib on him. In fact, throughout his entire, mission as a prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this obligation of praying most of the night remained even after Isra and Mi'raj. It remained on the prophet. Wajib is something of his khususiyat, something of what is special and unique to our beloved, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he must pray the entire night or part of the night or most of the night, as we see in Surah Muzammil, right? It is compulsory on him. Night prayer is compulsory, right, from the very beginning. Right, so answer the question properly. Okay, so how come we could pray at Masjid al-Aqsa? Why not? Right, the prayer was instituted from the first day of Islam, right? From the first revelation. It was already taught to him. Wudu was already taught to him. Fatiha was already taught to him. The entire prayer was taught to him. In fact, through narrations, Jibril was the first one to pray with him. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jibril was Imam, he was Ma'mum, and he followed Jibril. Thereafter, he taught the prayers to the Khadija and then the new Muslims, and they would always pray in Jama'ah. So he's been praying in Jama'ah from the first day of Islam, right? And the prayer has been known. So it's not exactly the prayer of, you said, the previous prophets, it's the prayer. And the prayer in and of itself is the salat itself has been taught, to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was only, given structure, right, in the way that we know today, through the Isra and the Miraj. That's the only difference. Right? The only thing that happened in Isra and Miraj was structure. Allah gave five prayers a day, and Allah gave the how the prayers are to be performed and the timings for the prayers. Right? So understand, right? So it's not about being guided or whatsoever, nor was it the prayer of the prophets of the past. The prophets of the past, they had prayers that were similar to the prayers of today, right? There was the similarity in their prayers, but it was really the prayer of Islam. It's the prayer of Islam that was taught from day one, right, of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's mission, right, mashallah. Right, so I'm just going to go through very quickly. So every day I take one passage, but I will just summarize the entire thing, right? And so they made fun of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So they all came and then they and so Habib also mentions here, this happened after the years of difficulty and pain, right? Whereby they boycotted, they surrounded and they boycotted the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there was no food and drink. They came to them in any way. Right, and so all from those of Habib Abu Bakr, and in that year as well, right, the death of his and Sayyidah Khadija spent all her money, without having any care to have anything in return for herself. And with the death of his uncle, and people, and with the death of his uncle, people began to rise up against him and threaten his life, right? His life was at stake somehow at this point. And then the death of Sayyidah Khadija, which left behind a big, a big like a hole for him or gap for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was why, it was said that he was actually by the Kaaba the night of Isra and Mi'raj, sleeping by the Kaaba. Because if anybody here has experienced the loss of a spouse that is beloved, that spending the nights without your spouse is just very painful. If you love the spouse so much and you spend every night with your spouse next to you, then the spouse passes away, and you wake up, and you come one night, and you're alone, in bed. There's no one next to you. The pain of that is human. It's human. The pain of that, of not having that spouse that you see next to you, they've been next to you for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, those who have been married for very long, is very painful. It is very painful. That is why some of the scholars say that he was by the Kaaba, sleeping, not at home, right? Because home was painful. And because the Khadija wasn't there, right? So it is human emotion. He was by the Kaaba. He found solace. He found solace sleeping by the Kaaba. So the angels found him there sleeping. If you think about it, how come he was by the Kaaba? He has a house. Yes, he has a house. He has a home. He can sleep at home. But he was by the Kaaba because he got closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the Kaaba. And he was finding solace and comfort with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has gone through the death of his beloved wife, the most difficult part of his life. So he's going through the most difficult things, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then to come back and to say what he said to the people, this is very difficult. And to do something difficult like this, you know, is proof of the truth of the person, right? The truthfulness of the person is proof, right? Because people do what is in favor of their nafs. Or when people lie, right, they lie why? To kind of, in favor of their nafs, right? People only lie in favor of their nafs. No one lies, to harm or to bring harm to themselves. Right? But rather people lie, right, to deflect harm from themselves. So he spoke about this, and people let stop, and people doubted him, people mocked him. But he went ahead and he said, وَلَمْ يَزَلْ فِي صَبْرِهِ حَتَّى أَتَى. Last night, and he was in his patience. وَعْدُ الْإِلَهِ الْحَقَّ لَيْلَةَ الْأَسْرَى. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He remained on his patience, right? And he had hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he said what he knew to be correct, to be true. Regardless of of the consequences, the physical, societal consequences of his place, regardless of what they were going to do to him, say to him, laugh at him, or or whatever they were doing to him, right? Regardless of that, he just said what he said. That is in and of itself, that's how it's true. When they say something that is not in line, or that does not, beef them up in a sense, right? But in societal eyes, right, that it brings them down, right, and society. But we know this, right? We are raised our Prophet. So no, I think it was an Allah raised him, no matter what the people like to do. So for us, when what was this? What was when the method of rape was brought down to Jibril Islam after the Prophet said the was short period. The method was from the first day, right? So okay, before revelation, let me just clarify some Akida points again. Before revelation, right? Before revelation, yes, Rasulullah was a Hanif, right? And he prayed the way of the Divine before revelation. Right? When revelation came to Rasulullah, because we also know that Fatiha is a surah that is specific to the Ummah of Rasulullah. Right? Everybody knows that the hadith said that my Ummah has been given the seven of repeated verses. Fatiha. Right? So your Fatiha is a gift for this Ummah. It's a gift that was not given to the previous nations. Fatiha is specifically for us. And Fatiha is our salah. Right? Fatiha is the main part of our prayer for Fatiha. Right? So the method of salat for the Ummah of Rasulullah, right, was taught to him from Iman. It was taught to him from Iman. Right? all that happened during Isra and Mi'raj was that it was midnight. So Allah said, pray 5 times, 5 days. So 50 first and 5. It was timing. The very next morning, after he came from Isra and Mi'raj, during the narration, Jibril actually came to him like at Dhuhr time, at the beginning of Dhuhr time, and told him to prepare the prayer, and Jibril led him in 4 rakats and told him this is the beginning time of the first prayer. That is why we go into the books of fiqh. The first prayer they will speak about is Dhuhr, not Dhuhr, because it was the first prayer that was taught to us. It was a okay? It was the first prayer that was taught to us. It wasn't one any person. And then the rest of the day, Jibril will come at the beginning of every prayer time, and then instruct us what to do, and he would lead the prayer and how many rakats. Right. The following day, Jibril will come at the end of each of the prayer times. Right. He will come towards the end of each of the prayer times, and he will instruct us and then they'll pray together. Then he will say the prayer is this and that. That's how we knew the times of the prayer. Okay? And that was how it was done. And the day after Israel Miraj, and the day after Israel, then there was some thought with people where the timings of the prayer and how many are.
عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. الفاتحة. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.